Creature, I need you to feed yourself. Just anything. Second that's done, I'm going to take you to the other world.
Miracle Wood.
And we're going to defeat 3 gods. Well, we're going to start. I'm not sure we're going to be able to finish defeating 3 gods in this one session, but we're going to start. So the other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is the Greco-Roman gods that I got wrong in my last video. Last time I was talking about the Titans and the Hecatoncheires, because I finally learned how to say that word appropriately, and then Kronos and Gaia and the birth of Zeus and that whole thing. Well, first I was wrong in my last rant where I suggested that that Kronos was one of the Hecatoncheires. Turns out, no, there was a first set of Titans, and that was indeed the Cyclops' Thunder, Lightning, and Bolt, followed up by the Hecatoncheires, and they were all thrown into Tartarus. Then the next set of Titans were born, and that was Kronos, Rheos, Coes, Hyperion, Thea, Chiron, Phoebe, Oceanus, Theus, Themis, Iphthys, it's hard to say, and Memnesine, basically the mother of the 9 muses. Oh, it's hard to say that name too. You know, it's Greek. I speak English. I speak American English. That's not even good English. I got some facts wrong about the Titans. Sorry about that. Did better research. I did, after all, say that my source was a children's book. They didn't cover all the details, but in doing my research, which basically consisted of watching the Useful Charts guy's video, which, by the way, I fully recommend his YouTube channel. His channel is very knowledgeable, and it helped me clear up a lot of things that I got wrong and misunderstood. I also had to write my own little chart down while he was talking, and looking at his charts to see if I could understand the things correctly. Anyway, when I keep talking about the Greek myths from now on, I'm going to be talking them through the context of the Olympian Company and the Mediterranean Project. And the Mediterranean Project is, I'm going to keep referring to it as a simulation machine, even though it's probably a video game, but maybe it's for science. But, you know, what are video games if not simulation machines? So the Mediterranean Project is a simulation machine, which is, you know, the way that the gods play and interact with it. The way they're able to adjust the specs of the people in them and change their form. It's a bit like changing, you know, a character's sprite. I'm sure if I knew enough about programming, I could go into the game, find this guy who's chilling out, and change his data so he is sick, or not a he anymore, or turns into a sheep. You know, that is the kind of power I would have if I were a programmer and, you know, this were my game that I were developing, or my simulation that I were running. And that is more or less the power that the Greek gods have. So yeah, the Mediterranean Project, and at least in their perspective, it's completely governed by their gods. But again, if you look at it through this, you know, everyone's running a simulation machine lens, and that's why they're very callous towards the individual sims. Like, I've never sacrificed any of these people, but I definitely have the option to be that kind of a god. And like, their parallels can obviously be really quickly drawn. Well, the Useful Chart guy was actually very helpful in this, because sort of like the first set of gods, the Aria, Uranus, and Pontius, that was land, sea, and air. And then the second generation was also largely divided into land, sea, and air. Kronos, Rhea, and Coeus are responsible for land. Hyperia, Therion, or Thea, Curious, and Phoebe are basically responsible for the sky and the heavens. And then Oceanus, guess what he's in charge of, and Theus are responsible for oceans and rivers. So that's still sort of divided into land, sea, and air. But then there's also like more existential concepts.
Miracle food.
Like Themis is like initially the in charge of laws, or what I would call natural laws, or probably physics. And then Iphthys, he's more or less responsible for mortality. So I think that would be like when programs end. I mean, there's several people responsible for mortality and death. There's also like Chiron, the ferryman. I think he'd also be responsible for death. There's a lot of people, like Thanos, is also a guy who's responsible for death, but like not specifically the anyway. Lots of people are responsible for death. But yeah, no, it stays largely divided between land, sea, and air on the Olympian pantheon for, you know, all the way down to the third generation. But by then point, they start adding more existential concepts, which makes sense if you have like a more of a finished project, if you're running a giant simulation machine. So I'm looking at this entire family tree, and I realize that if you switch out the words family for like mentorship or partnership, then all these marriages just look like someone, you know, having an apprentice or having a business partner or having I think it's called a work wife, you know, someone you work with all the time, but not necessarily in a romantic fashion, just, you know, ever present, so you're constantly with them, so they make up a good part of your resting consciousness in a completely non-romantic, platonic kind of way. But yeah, so if you look at it that way, all these family relationships look a lot less incestuous and more just like mentorships. Also makes a lot more sense. And the other thing was like the marriages. If it's more of a business partnership, all these marriages and all of Zeus's wives, and it becomes less, well obviously less incestuous, but like it would make sense that like Hera wouldn't really mind so much Zeus's previous wives because it was just a business relationship, and as long as, you know, his current work wife is Hera, then there's no work, you know, conflict there, and they can work together and everyone's going to be happy. It just becomes a little bit more reasonable, I think, to look at all the marriages in the Greco-Roman pantheon as sort of work partnerships, like when someone says their work husband or work wife. I just think it makes it interesting and sort of makes the whole Mediterranean look more like a simulation game. And then also, like if you assume being born is just being hired, like when someone gives birth to like 6 or 7 people at a time or in a generation, it's just sort of nice to look at that as, you know, that person was in charge of hiring for the company and they hired 6 or 7 new people at a time, and those people are all mentored under them in a sort of familiar relationship because, you know, that person's responsible for their job, but it's still a job. So it looks like to me that there are roughly 4 stages to this company. Basically, there's ancient Eros, there's Tartarus, there's Gaia's, there's Erebus, Nyx, and around the same time there seems to be Ananke and Kronos. Those seem to be the original gods, like the birth of origin. And I think, in my metaphor, those are like the early business investors. Like they're the people who got together and said, you know, it would be really cool if we created this giant simulation, called it the Mediterranean Project. And in this giant simulation, we created, you know, sims and bots and all kinds of lives, and then we throw all kinds of trials and tribulations at them, and we see how they react. Like this giant simulation machine. But yeah, so there's the first generation, which I'm going to call the original investors. So they got together and pooled their resources and sort of made Gaia their chief representative, like the representative of the board of directors for the investors, and that's Gaia. And she hired, I'm gonna get the 3 now because I got it sort of wrong before, and that's another thing I got wrong in my previous video about the Titans. It's not just Uranus and Pontus. There was actually an equivalent of that era, land goddess too, for mountains and islands, called Aria. So there's 3 essentially first programmers that Gaia would have hired on this project, and the 3 original programmers, from that they sort of let Uranus do a hiring thing, sort of a hiring expansion. So Uranus is like, congratulations, we've hired it. You're one of the first 3 people that we've hired for this programming, the Mediterranean Project. We've decided that you're going to be in charge of the sky, basically the
Miracle food.
entire, everything that occurs above ground, and, you know, that people can see and interact with, and like, okay, so that's mostly yours. The ground itself, we're going to go ahead and give it to Arya, but, truthfully, Arya is more Gaia's assistant, because Gaia is the Earth, and she really likes being hands-on, so she's a little bit more involved. But Arya is here, but yeah, so Arya, Uranus, and Pontius, you three, you are the initial programmers, and you're in charge of making sure the Mediterranean gets built properly. Pontius is in charge of the sea and everything that's not land. Arya is in charge of the land itself. And then you're kind of in charge of the sky, which is, at this point everything contained within on top of the land. So that's a pretty decent amount of power. And we need you to come together with your support network, and we need you to start building the Mediterranean project. And for that, we need you to hire people based on skill. And Uranus goes like, okay, cool, I can hire whomever I want. And they go like, no, we need people based on skill. So like the first 3 people that we're going to hire are sort of like really good at observing the changes and making sure that everything gets built properly and the structural layout and that stuff. And the various maintenance and basic foundational things. They're super important. You kind of don't really get a say to who gets joined on that team. I mean, yes, you eventually are going to be sort of the boss of this project for right now. They still have a role to fulfill, so we're going to go ahead and hire and make sure that they're available to you before this. So the first 3 guys, they're a little bit quirky. Some people call them the Cyclopses. Anyway, Lightning, Thunder, and Bolt, they're the first hires, and they are definitely going to be the people who need to run the show and help get things started in the beginning.
Miracle shower.
And Kronos is like, oh man, I was really hoping that I could get some better people, some people that I know, more familiar with, slightly, that looks nicer to me, just on paper, and Gaia, who's in charge of the project and at this point. So when they were married, I'm just sort of suggesting there's a partnership, and in this partnership, Gaia definitely had the power. But Uranus was still kind of in charge of the day-to-day of the project. So the first set of people that they had to hire for the project were the Cyclopses, and, Uranus is not the most excited, and he's like, alright, none of these people look the way I want. They're not operating the way I want, but Gaia says I have to have them. It's fine. Alright, so they're working on the project. Fine. And then the next round of hires that he was responsible for, but, again, they had little power in choosing, was the Hecatoncheires, the 100-armed, 50-headed titans, the Hecatoncheires. And, again, this was not who Uranus wanted. He was just like, I want the people that I know on this project and the people that I think, work well with. You know what? I'm sick of looking at these guys. I'm sick of looking at them. I'm sick of looking at the Cyclopses. Yeah, they're still on the project. I can't fire them, but you know what? I'm going to put them in the side, in the basement of the offices, and no one's ever going to see them again. They're just going to be working by the servers with no windows and poor ventilation, and it's just like, that's what they're gonna do. I'm gonna do that, and technically I'm not firing them.
Miracle shower.
So Gaia can't be too pissed off at me. And that's what he does. Well, Tartarus I kind of said is one of the investors, didn't I? Well, yeah, okay, so Tartarus, one of the investors, is responsible for one of the facilities that people are using. That's his contribution, and it's a really dank and miserable office because it was essentially given for free. And it's not like Tartarus is, the investor, is giving out the nice penthouse offices. He's like one of the initial investors, and they're still in their grassroots stage. It doesn't have the best facilities. He's having to borrow it. They're leasing it from a strip mall. It's not quite they're on their luxury condo apartments yet. It's still grassroots, and that's Tartarus office, and that's the Tartarus office, and it's like they never give it up, so it's always an option, but no one likes being there. Anyway, so he sends all 6 of these engineers to the Tartarus office to work, and then it's not like the best of facility. It's there, but no one really likes being there, and that sort of goes against the, business promise that Gaia made. All right, so yeah, no, so those are the first generation programmers, and
Miracle shower.
And Uranus doesn't like that he didn't have hiring power, so he swept 6 of the necessary people that were, I'm guessing promised by Gaia and the initial Olympus Company investors to have somewhat decent facilities and upkeeping, but were instead just kind of shoved into a small corner office in a strip mall in the edge of town that no one really knew was even open. Gaia, very annoyed at this, decides to go Well, okay. Back up a little bit. After this happens, the company expands, seems to be doing well, the Mediterranean project is slowly getting built, and there's more growth, and the initial investors probably throw more money in and go like, okay, cool, we can see the advantage of this. I don't know if they're doing like commercials or open source programming, but for whatever reason, there seems to be a lot of confidence. There seems to be a lot of confidence in the Mediterranean project. So they're able to get more money in, and they start doing a second expansion, like a second hiring of programmers and maintainers and people who maintain servers, maintenance facility workers, a second expansion to further, work on the project, the Mediterranean project. And that is the second realm of Titans. That's the one that Kronos was in. That's the Kronos Rhaenys, the Kronos and Rhea, Coes, Hyperion, Thea, Curious, Phoebe, Oceanus, basically, Theus, Themius, Iptius, and that one that I can barely pronounce. They are like the second round of hires. There's like 12 new people. They join the company. They're really excited. They like the work. They all have their own departments that they're like, let's get started. We got this. And while this is happening,
Teleport.
Gaia goes like, yeah, cool. So welcome to the company. I'm really excited to have you here. But look, so there's a bit of an internal struggle going on in the company. You know how it works sometimes. White-collar politics to make sure that, the company stays afloat and goes to well. So, your last guy, your predecessor, your senior, Uranus, he's not the best person to work under, but because he knows a lot of the legacy code and a whole lot of other things have been promised to him in his employment contract, we can't really get rid of him. But we have found a way to sort of make him no longer an effective member of the company and basically exist sort of in name only, but without any actual say. I know you're all fresh and have just joined the company, but can someone step up and, take care of your older and more experienced veteran person? Now, we're not firing them, of course not. No, we wouldn't treat our employees that. But if you could just, come up here and metaphorically castrate his power,
Miracle shower.
we would all kind of appreciate that. And Kronos, not one to pass up an opportunity for rapid promotion through the ranks, goes like, yeah, I know, I got it, boss. Oh yeah, I'll totally help remove all the power from this veteran programmer here. Uranus, you say? I got it. Gotcha. And that's the second generation programmers, and then Kronos does the castration bit, which is a part of the story that I didn't get from the children's book, which makes sense. I pondered last time specifically whether or not Uranus, the actual Sky, was murdered and then the dead body was laying on top of Gaia. No, still very much alive. Sky is still very much alive, but has been castrated and is no longer talked about, and I'm guessing no longer has any power, which again makes a whole lot more sense when you start thinking about it more of as a company or a corporation and less as a family with people with bodies. So yeah, that's the second generation programmers, and they came in. Kronos, kind of again drunk on power, the fact that hey guys, I just this person was in the company for several years and was a partner and had all these golden umbrella assurances, and I came in and wha-bam, and now he's no longer in charge anymore. Ha ha ha! Now you can't challenge my power. I'm the new big fish in the pond. Totally let Gaia's endorsement go to his head and never let out the Hecatoncheires or kept the Cyclopses and the Hecatoncheires in the basement office at the strip mall in the corner of town that no one likes. Tough titties there, Freemius guys. I'm in charge. You guys are still locked in prison just because I decide who gets in and out of prison, And that, of course, leads to the third generation programmers, which would be, of course, the Zeus, Hera, Poseidon, Hesta, Hades, and Demeter. Anyway, the next generation, the third generation programmers would be Zeus, his siblings, and his children. And by children, of course, I mean, in the beginning, Kronos was in charge of hiring the new programmers and was doing a fine job of it, but he was making sure that the contract stated that the people that he hired had no actual power to, upset his intentions throughout the program. And I could see Gaia going like, okay, he's being mad drunk with power. Tell you what, let's take this contract on this hire. Let's see, Zeus? Yeah, let's change the wording on his contract a little so he's not exactly subservient to Kronos here. Let's and can actually act against him. We'll have to create dummy wording in here to sort of fool him for later on. We just wrap up this clause in his contract here that looks like he has power over Zeus, but he doesn't actually have power over Zeus. And then when he reads it over that time, he won't see that hidden clause as being any different from the one he'd used several times before. And then he'll think he's won. But in reality, Zeus won't actually have any contractual subservience to him, and he'll be able to act against him for later on for that usurpation. When we eventually maybe fire or let him go from the company. Uh-oh. 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 Alright, well, I think it just force quit itself. That's a shame. Let's see what I can do to recover that. Creature. Still impressing them. And I'm definitely in the lead. Whoa. What's up, turtle guy? How'd you get there? I mean, you're now trapped. I'm not sure you have a way down. But that is like full-on Lion King Pride Rock location. Like, I thought about putting something there a while back, but... Alright, that's kind of cool. Flying poop! No one notices, because they're already in his entourage. Oof, that was close. I almost threw it at my own villagers. Whoop. See, now they're paying attention. Now they see the flying poop.
Oh, that is sweet.
218? Was it birds? Did you do birds? You did birds. Yeah, I don't want to deplete the entire forest. I like the environment. I kind of want to keep it. You know? I actually kind of admire the polygonal art that must have gone into creating it. Look, the wolves have faces. I mean, by modern day graphical standards, this is nothing. Absolutely nothing. But, you know, you can tell what it's supposed to be. Sorry, my brain just lagged for a second there. That will happen sometimes. I don't know if it's the ADD, or probably the ADD, or maybe even the ADD, but every once in a while my brain will just straight up lag. And,
Miracle food.
oh, thank God I can feed these folks. Well, you know, the irony of saying thank God in this game is not lost on me. Creature! Oh, that jumped me from last place to second place. Also, I don't like that that only put me in second place. Creature? No, I don't want you fighting. Oh, you're telling a story. Okay, okay, okay. Teleport to the Tibetan village. You can just go right there. You're standing on the teleport. There it goes. Good creature. Oh my god. When he understands the teleport, it's the best thing in the world. I say when, because he is a dumb, and sometimes he just does not understand the concept of teleport. No! You pooped. Somehow you pooping in the center of town. Oh, is that a scaffolding? Did you poop a scaffolding out? I'll take that. I'm like worried. Their population's probably going to completely die out. They only had 11 people? 10. It's going down. He's going to have no believers. And 5 of them are worshipping. 6. 6 of them are worshipping. So you have 4 people in your village. No wonder it's dying. My goodness, you're going to kill yourself. Also, why is it evil? He's got a nice little evil thing going on here. It's a shame. I like the turtle creature. I want Turtle God to live just because I like looking at Turtle God's creature. Well, this guy seems to be killing himself. Is it below 10? Yeah, dude. He's going to run out of villagers. You're going to get frozen as soon as you're in the village. But he can't even charge up a freeze miracle quickly enough for it to be a problem. I mean, I'm happy he's giving himself wood, but I think if I don't rescue the village from that turtle god, that his own villagers are gonna die. And then he'll be defeated. But not even by my own hand. It'll be sad. Creature? Dude, if you want to fight, that's fine. He'll just keep freezing you. I've crippled him. He will use his entire faith power freezing you over and over again. And in that time, none of his village will expand or get built. His entire population will just die off. That's sad. I tried.
Man, there's a real humdinger of a fight going on.
No, there isn't. My creature's frozen. When it happens, though, he'll be able to take that person out. I'm not overly worried about the prowess of the fighting of the turtle. Creature? You really want to fight this guy? What's the fight song? Like, oh god, it's a famous fight song. Oh my god, it's even ironic. It's Walk on Water, isn't it? You really believe that you can win this fight tonight? I'm pretty sure that's 30 Seconds to Mars. Good, I've directed your attention long far and away from where he is. But when you come around towards this village, I think I'll be able to heal both you and them in an impressive display, which should net
Mental
them.
heal.
Nope, you're just gonna cut across the water. You know what? That's fair. In the meantime,
Japanese.
I'll just take control of them anyway. Creature? Nope, that's not my creature. My creature is about to take a nap. See, it's confusing when there's two zebras on the board. Kind of want to turn my creature into a big cat, a wolf, or a monkey. But can only do that in the main world. What you doing? You're taking a nap right on my... Boy... If you weren't close enough to my forest where I think the Mega Blast would light it on fire, I would make that the most unpleasant nap you could possibly have.
Explosion.
And?
Extreme.
Oh! I got one! Okay. Don't blow up the thing. Don't blow up the thing. Don't blow up the thing. Ah! Ah! Oh! I have an instance of Mega Blast. Okay. That is my final tool for killing an enemy god. Should I Mega Blast Extreme the horse? He's on the edge of my territory. I think I'm gonna do it. I have it. I don't want to save it till the end. He's sleeping, which means he's not gonna dodge it. Let's blow up a horse.
Extreme.
Alright, nowhere near the forest, nowhere near the forest, nowhere near the forest. Boom!
Are you doing this to shock me?
Oh, be quiet. Don't hit the forest, don't hit the forest, don't hit the forest. Nice. Oh my goodness. That was kind of cool. Also, like, all of them missed. Look at all of those blasts, and look at where his creature was standing. It avoided, like, 90% of that. Still, fun to watch. Well, I'm rather sad the skirmish didn't work out. I was just about to save it, too. But always to just one more, just one more. So for now, I think I'm going to call it. Thank you for joining me. Hope to see you next time. Bye.